Hey everybody, Tekking101 here, and welcome back to my discussion series on the Warlords in the One Piece world. I was just gonna say discussions of the 7 Warlords of the Sea, but there's like 11 goddamn characters that have held that title, and currently there's only like 5 that have it, so yeah, we're gonna go through all of them, don't worry. In one of my most recent live streams, we decided the order in which I was gonna do these, because for the Mihawk video, a lot of positive response to that, thank you guys. I asked you, which Warlord should I discuss next, and I got a bunch of recommendations and votes for pretty much every single Warlord, so I decided just to do it in random order, so we decided the order. If you know it, you know it. Good for you. I mean, someone will probably post in the comments below what the order was that was selected, but it doesn't really matter. It's all random. But anyway, as for that, the first Warlord we're going to discuss here after Mihawk, not really my favorite Warlord, but I guess it's great that we get him out of the way. I don't really hate him or anything like that. It's just that I feel like all the other Warlords are more interesting, and a lot of other characters are more interesting than him. I am, of course, referring to Jinbei, the first son of the sea, a whale shark fisherman. Although I have to say, I find it fairly dubious that he is, in fact, the first son of the sea. I've been crunching the numbers on this, and if all life originated from the ocean, he's clocking in at somewhere around the 18th trillionth son of the sea, but you're still up there. Alright, so since we're discussing a fishman, though, I felt like it was only appropriate to have a co-host in this episode. That's right, I'm of course referring to the best fish of 2016, Zeta the Beta. Oh yeah! There he is. He's hanging out. He knew it was showtime, and he showed up. So Zeta will be helping me out with this one. Just be careful. Don't look directly in his eyes. He is very agitated. He slayed more sea creatures than you could possibly imagine, and he is the new captain of the new Fishman Pirates. But anyway, getting to Jinbei. So, the reason I guess I really don't like Jinbei, or I'm not like a big, Jinbei fan, I guess I should say, is that he falls in that category of just really honorable anime character. I'm trying to do is like not lawful good, not like I can do the best thing I possibly do, because he's not that far gone, but he kind of falls in that mire of characters, and I don't find that type of character all that interesting. It's the same reason I don't really find certain superheroes really all that interesting. I feel like there needs to be a little bit more intrigue to them. Jinbei certainly has that, but I just feel like there's other characters that have that quality better. I know that might be kind of hard to explain, but once again, that's just my own personal opinion about the character. He is very prevalent in this upcoming arc with Big Mom and Totland, so maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe something he'll do here will be something that will change my mind about Jinbei. But Jinbei himself is interesting in terms of him being announced as a warlord, because he was actually the second warlord ever mentioned in the One Piece series. Yosaku discussed him when they were heading to Arlong Park, him, Sanji, and Luffy, and Yosaku was giving them the lowdown on all the fishmen. And, the fishmen, and he also described, the warlords of the sea. Mihawk is a warlord, and also the other one you need to worry about, or the one that you should know about right now, is Jimbei. And Jimbei was, like, the captain that ruled over Arlong, and then they were both kind of, like, they both kind of caused a bunch of destruction up and down the Grand Line. So Jimbei was the second mention, but he was the last of the original 7 warlords to be actually introduced in the series. I think it took, like, in the Impel down arc, it took, like, 10 fucking years for us to actually get to see Jinbei, so I find that very funny. Jinbei himself, he basically took the title of Warlord up so he could better the relations between humans and fishmen, which is already, and mermaids as well. It's always been very shaky, the race issue there between humans and fishmen. And honestly speaking, Jinbei is a guy that kind of just got thrust into this situation. It's just like, he's not the most important person in this issue. It's like the people around him, like Otahime and Fisher Tiger. Those are the people that sort of like started this movement, and then Jinbei just kind of like got brought along in this situation. He just kind of got it thrust upon him, Fisher Tiger was the one that, liberated all the slaves and Marie Joie, and he started the Sun Pirates, and they started sailing around and freeing slaves, and then Otahime was going on with her, we need to better relations with the humans, we don't need to push them away. Jinbei, at this point in time, wasn't a huge figure in this situation. He wasn't he wasn't just like a minor character. He was a prominent member of the Sun Pirates, and he did have a bounty at this point, but the government was more concerned about Fisher Tiger than they were about Jinbei. And then, of course, Fisher Tiger gets killed, and Jinbei sort of has to inherit his will. Jinbei didn't even really care much for, bettering relations between humans and fishmen until Otahime did her speeches, and that kind of got him moving as well. That kind of got him interested in, like, all right, well, maybe we can do this. And then you have that moment where he's praying at Otahime's grave, like, oh, there's so many years have passed, but we're still, getting close to your dream, Queen Otahime. And so he's certainly a man that has changed his stance on what he defends and what he's trying to protect over throughout his life. And we get to see that journey in the One Piece universe. It's very interesting that Oda managed to do that fairly well. We get to see Jinbei introduced as a very honorable man that's just trying to better ways for fishmen, and then we find out in the Fishman Island arc. I'm going to be saying Fishman a lot in this video. We find out in the Fishman Island arc he wasn't always like that. He was a member of the Neptune army, and then after that he started to sail around with Fisher Tiger, and he was kind of along the line with Fisher Tiger's own dogma that Fisher Tiger didn't really like humans all that much. Not really. After we saw what they did with the slaves, didn't really care for humans at all. And of course, that all came down to mostly the world nobles. Those were the ones that were the real problem there. Yeah. So, Jinbei, in terms of the story itself, well, he's in jail with Ace. That's how he gets introduced, because he decided he didn't want anything to do with this war. Whitebeard he saw as an ally. Him and Ace have a past. Him and Ace fought each other before in this really intense battle that lasted, I think, 5 days. So I want you guys to think about that for a second. He went toe-to-toe with Ace for 5 days. I think that says quite a bit about not just Jinbei's power, but also Ace's power. They were kind of like equally matched. And remember that Ace was supposed to be a member of the Warlords. He was offered, but I think he turned it down. And he had a pretty high bounty on his head, too. He had like something like 500 million berries or something on his head, so those two were about equal there. And at some point, also he had a relationship with Whitebeard that hasn't really been completely explained, but he did have a relationship there. He didn't want to fight in Marineford, so he was imprisoned in Impel Down basically until he made up his mind. He didn't have the title revoked yet. He actually renounced that title on his own. It's not like Sengoku was like, okay, I'm stripping you of the title and I'm throwing you in jail. No, it's more of just like, okay, you're not going to fight in this war. Okay, well, now we're going to throw you in jail and see what a few weeks in level 6 of Impel Down does to change your attitude a little bit. And then I guess he was completely expecting him to come around to things. But of course, Luffy broke in, and then he released Crocodile and Jinbei, and everything kind of went south from there. Not really on Sengoku's plans of action there. And he was probably just going to renounce his warlord status anyway. But Jinbei's like, you know what? Fuck it, I don't want it anymore, screw it, I'm gonna do my own thing now. Not a really great time to do that, actually, because that was a really shaky period, because Whitebeard died, to which all of Fishman Island was not protected by him anymore until Big Mom came into the picture, and then Jinbei, which was also another thing that was supposed to increase relations between fishmen and humans, that also fell apart. So, not a great time for fish. Nothing really ever became of that, really. I think Big Mom pretty much saw some opportunity and swooped in and, like, took over Fishman Island, and that kind of protected it after Whitebeard left. That probably happened, like, pretty much immediately after Whitebeard's death. Yeah, that's another reason Jinbei probably doesn't like humans very much, or pirates in general, because Fishman Island was sort of like a hot spot for pirates, because you have to pass through there if you're a pirate to get to the New World, and they would kidnap mermaids, probably do some other stuff with mermaids that's not PG-13. We saw Kuribo. We saw what he was into. Yeah, I know, Zeta. I know. It's messed up, right? Mermaid rape. It's the worst kind of rape. But anyway, that was very dark. Let's talk about Arlong. Arlong, also very interesting character in the One Piece series that started at the very beginning of the series, like East Blue. I love how Oda sets this stuff up so early on. Like, he discussed Arlong, and you see Arlong way back in East Blue, and Arlong even has, like, a sun pirate tattoo, and the relevance of that wasn't mentioned until hundreds of chapters later, and it all comes into kind of vogue here what was going on. You know, Fisher Tiger had a crew of pirates. Jinbei was a part of it, and the rest of, you know, the new Fishman pirates were not the new Fishman pirates, but just the regular Fishman pirates were part of that. You know, like Hachan was part of that and everything. And after Fisher Tiger died, there was like a falling out, and Jinbei, like, Arlong wanted to go and basically kill all the humans, and Jinbei, probably while he wasn't fond of humans, he was also coming along to Odahime's way of thinking and stuff, and he just didn't want to go on a mass slaughter, so, you know, he beats the shit out of Arlong. Arlong just kind of goes, they all go their separate ways, and it's kind of like a really sad moment. They all go their separate ways. Arlong just winds up in the East Blue and just kind of takes it over, because the East Blue is kind of the one that's the weakest. So I could see Arlong was really just like a big fish in a small pond sort of thing. That's really all Arlong was. He wasn't that strong of a fishman compared to like Jinbei or all the other, like, or like the Neptune brothers or anything like that. It was just that he was strong enough to, you know, take over the East Blue, which wasn't really that much of an accomplishment. And then, of course, Luffy shows up and manages to kick his ass fairly easily. In fact, Zoro probably even could have put up a decent fight against him, but Zoro had the whole Mihawk slash right after that, so I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did. One of my favorite scenes there is when Arlong is holding up Zoro by his neck, and he's just like, what are you hiding under these bandages, a paper cut or something? And he rips off the bandages, it gets splattered with blood, and he's like, holy shit. Like, even Arlong, who is a serious, bloodthirsty bastard that just goes around and slaughters humans without any regard, he's looking at Zoro like, how the fuck is this guy still alive? What the... You know? So, I'm not saying Zoro would have beat him, you know, at the current level Zoro was, but if he didn't get that scar from Mihawk, he probably would have put up a decent fight against Arlong before Luffy beat him down. So, that's the history there. Then you have, of course, Jinbei at the end of the Fishman Island arc. You know, Jinbei, you know, after meeting up with the Straw Hats, basically becomes like a de facto Straw Hat for that one arc there. And unlike a lot of other characters that the Straw Hats kind of run into in their journeys, like they run into Vivi, and Vivi becomes one of their members, you know, people in Sky Island. You get the people from, like, Tom's Workers and the Frankie family during Water 7 and Ennie's Lobby. Unlike all those characters, Jinbei can actually stand with the Straw Hats. He's on equal tier to the Straw Hats. He's as strong as them, you know? So it was really fun seeing him joining, like, teaming up with the Straw Hats and fighting off against the new Fishman pirates, and him and Sanji take out Watasumi, and it's this, like, vagabond drill. It's like this awesome technique, dude. And at the end of that arc, when Luffy was like, hey, Jinbei, join my crew. Come on. Be my Nakama. You know you want to. I was completely fine with that. Like I said, Jinbei's not one of my favorite characters, but I would be completely fine with that. Not just because of the relationship that he and Luffy had throughout Impel Down and Marineford and everything, and of course Ace died, and it's like, please entrust, you know, watch after my brother. Not only just because of that, but just because this is post-time skip Straw Hats at this point, and the time skip was fairly new back at this point in the story. It was like, whoever they're going to get to join the crew next better be really effing strong. And Jinbei fits that bill perfectly. An ex-warlord working with, like, joining the Straw Hat Pirates. I can see a lot of things working with that, you know? Like, his name is known far and wide, and that just makes the Straw Hats even more feared. That'd be great. Of course, Jinbei didn't necessarily turn them down. He just kind of said, like, look, I got other shit to worry about right now. The state of Fishman Island isn't that great right now. I got a lot of stuff I need to worry about, and I need to fix up. But after I get done with all that stuff, yes, I will join your crew. And here we are, a few years later. We had a cover story with Jinbei. He went around just kind of like journeying around the sea, getting into wacky adventures, finding some poneglyphs and giving them the Big Mom. And now we get to the main arc we're in right now. We get into the Tatoland arc with Big Mom, and Jinbei is part of her pirate crew, and he decides that now I want to leave, and I want to join up with the Straw Hats, and Big Mom is like, oh, okay, you can leave. You got to spin this roulette. There's Arlong. Damn. This software, I hate it so much. But yeah, Big Mom, of course, says to him, you know, okay, you can leave, but in exchange, we're going to take one of your, like, body parts, and you have to spin this roulette to see what we're going to take away, your arm, or your head, or your arm, or your eye, or your whatever. And then it was later, I think, stated, I'm not 100% because this happened fairly recently, don't quote me on this, but I'm fairly certain that Jinbei, or at least it was said that Jinbei redacted his offer to leave the Big Mom Pirates. I can't remember when that was said, but I feel like that. I read that on the wiki, and I'm not sure if that is accurate or not. Maybe it's one of those things that somebody just kind of said that he redacted, but not like we don't know the whole story behind this yet, of course. But yeah, that's certainly he's certainly a very interesting character, and maybe he will come along to being one of my more favorite ones after this. But I just feel like in the world of One Piece, where there's so many diverse characters on both ends of the spectrum, good characters and bad characters and neutral characters, Jinbei is just sort of average in that vein. Maybe I'm not the only one that thinks that, but that's the way I view him. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and the next discussion video is going to be a big one. It's going to be a huge one. And let me know what you think about Jinbei in the comments below and everything like that. But no, the next one is going to be... Hold on, let me just double check on this here. Yep, it's going to be Blackbeard, Marshall D. Teach. So check back here next time. This is Tekking101 signing out. Zeta, do you have anything you want to say to the nice people at home? You're just going to hide in your little pineapple. He's just gonna hide in his little pineapple. Zeta has no time for peasants like you. Alright, everybody. Signing out. Later.